Today, we're going to talk about a guy you've probably never heard of, but whose vision and, honestly, pure grit laid the very groundwork for one of the most famous places on Earth, Silicon Valley. This is the story of Martin Murphy Jr.
It seems like a crazy jump, right? How do you get from Irish potato farms to the absolute heart of global tech? Well, that's the big question we're tackling today. How do you connect the dots from a life of hardship and migration to the very foundation of the modern world? Let's get into it.
To really get Martin Murphy Jr., you have to understand what drove his family. This wasn't just some trip for adventure. No, this was a decades-long search, a quest for stability, for their own piece of land, and for the freedom to just practice their faith in peace.
So, Murphy was born in County Wexford, Ireland. His family were what you'd call Catholic gentry, which sounds pretty good. But here's the thing. Under British rule back then, their rights were severely limited because of their religion. Just imagine living with that kind of constant pressure. That's what lit the fire in them to find a place they could finally, truly call home.
And that search for a home, it wasn't a single trip, not by a long shot. It was a massive, multi-generational journey that took the whole Murphy clan clear across the North American continent.
I mean, their persistence was just incredible. It all started in 1820 when they left Ireland for Quebec. Martin actually did pretty well for himself there, became a successful farmer. But the brutal Canadian winters and the fact there were no Catholic schools drove them south to Missouri in the early 1840s. They thought, okay, this is it, we found it. But Missouri, well, it had its own dark secrets.
The land in Missouri was good for farming, sure, but the swamps were just infested with malaria. They called it the ague back then, and it was devastating. After the disease took several family members, Martin's father made the decision one last time. He said they would move again, this time to California, a place he'd heard was healthy, and, just as important, it was under Catholic Mexican rule at the time.
So this final leg of their journey, this was going to be the most dangerous by far. It meant they had to cross the massive, formidable Sierra Nevada mountains. And here's the kicker. No one had ever done it with wagons before. Ever.
Just try to put yourself in their shoes for a second. You're leading heavy wagons where no wagons have ever been. The trail is barely there. Your oxen are groaning, about to give out. And every single day is a battle against the wilderness, with absolutely zero guarantee you're going to make it. That was the reality for the Stevens Townsend Murphy party, where Martin Jr. was a crucial leader. They were literally carving a path into the unknown. And to really get how incredible their achievement was, you just have to look at what happened only 2 years later. The infamous Donner Party tried to follow the same route and met a horrible, tragic end. The Murphy Party's success, that wasn't just luck. No way. It was earned.
So how'd they pull it off? Well, it really came down to a few things. Martin's leadership kept everyone focused and disciplined. They planned everything meticulously. And, this is absolutely critical, they got help from local indigenous guides who knew that land inside and out and showed them how to navigate the treacherous Truckee River route.
So they make it to California, and Murphy finds success almost immediately. But while everyone else was running around chasing the quick riches of the gold rush, Murphy saw something different. He saw a more stable, a more sustainable future for the whole region. He struck it rich, but not by finding gold. He started a cattle ranch and made an absolute fortune selling beef to all the miners flooding into the area. But the gold rush was chaotic, it was violent, and for a man who'd spent his whole life searching for stability, this wasn't it. This couldn't be the end of the journey. So he made a brilliant move, a visionary pivot. In 1850, he bought this huge piece of land in the Santa Clara Valley called Rancho Pastoria de las Borregas. And there, he switched from cattle to farming massive fields of wheat. And then, he became one of the first people to see the valley's real gold, its potential for incredible fruit orchards. He wasn't just planting crops. He was building a stable, long-term agricultural economy from the ground up.
But see, Murphy wasn't just a farmer. He became an architect of the entire community. He took his wealth, his influence, and used it to build the civic and social foundations for the whole valley.
And get this, here's the detail that tells you everything you need to know about his ambition. He didn't just build a farmhouse. No, he ordered a prefabricated mansion from New England and had it shipped 14,000 miles all the way around the tip of South America. His home, called Bayview Farm, immediately became the social and political hub of the entire region.
His impact went so far beyond agriculture. He poured his money right back into the community, investing in schools and transportation and civic life.
He wasn't just the richest guy in the valley, he was its main builder. And that's why, even today, he's known as the father of Santa Clara County. He really put his money where his mouth was. He was a devout Catholic, so he gave the land and the first chunk of money for what is now Santa Clara University, making sure the next generation of kids had an education. He financed the railroad to connect the valley to the port in San Francisco, which was huge. And maybe most importantly, he acted as a bridge between the established Spanish-speaking Californio families and the new wave of American settlers.
Okay, so why are we talking about this pioneer from the 1800s? Because his legacy isn't just stuck in history books. You can literally see his footprint all over the South Bay right now, today. Remember that giant rancho he bought? Today, we just call it Sunnyvale and Mountain View. That railroad he financed? That's the Caltrain corridor that thousands of people ride every single day. And Santa Clara College? It's now the incredible Santa Clara University. The choices he made over 150 years ago are literally the foundation that modern Silicon Valley was built on.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Martin Murphy Jr.'s story shows us that a real community is built on way more than just land. For him, the foundation was education, transportation, and bringing people together. It kind of leaves us with a question, right? If you were building a whole new community from scratch today, what would you make sure to build first? What would your foundation be?
This biographical sketch is brought to you by the Sunnyvale Historical Society and Museum Association. For over 70 years, bringing history to life through the stories of westward-bound pioneers. And History Expeditions, faithfully retracing the steps of America's most notable trailblazers over the Sierra Nevada.